Alright, so there are some major changes coming to the 401k because just a couple days ago, the IRS put out new guidelines for what will happen starting next year. And in 2023, the IRS will officially rename the 401k to the 201k, adjusted for inflation. No, I'm just kidding, but there will be some major changes to the 401k starting next year. And in today's video, I want to help explain what all of them are. If you're like, Andre, what is a 401k? Don't feel too bad because not that long ago, I didn't fully understand what they were either. And so when people would ask me, Andre, you don't have a 401k? I'd be like, no. Where can I buy one? Because I used to think that it was something you bought or invested in, but instead it's an account you put your investments inside of to get certain tax benefits. Now, if you're a finance nerd and you know everything there is to know about the 401k, you would also know that there is still a huge debate in the finance community about which one is the best, because there are two different versions of it. There's a traditional 401k and a Roth 401k. Which one is the better account is a question that I've spent an ungodly amount of time trying to figure out the answer to, but long story short, it really depends on what you think your income would look like in retirement. Now, for most people, they will make less money in retirement than they were when they were working, which makes sense. When you work, you make more money. When you stop working, you make less money. So for most people, a pre-tax strategy that is the traditional 401k account is the better one for most people. According to the nerdiest finance community of all time, Bogleheads, there's actually a little strategic trick because they recommend to get a traditional 401k only up to the employer match and nothing more, then going to a Roth IRA outside of your job, maxing that one out, and once that one is full, going back to the 401k and maxing that one out if you can. So that is the most optimal tax strategy for most people. Now I'm sure I'm gonna have someone in the comment section saying, but Andre, you didn't mention the HSA. The finance community is extremely passionate about these kinds of topics, and it's a very deep rabbit hole to go into, but the point is we can all agree that having a 401k is extremely important. Either way, whether you plan on getting a 401k in the future or you already have an account and you think you know everything there is to know, I promise that there's gonna be details inside of this video about the 401k you never knew about. And then we'll talk about some of the changes starting in 2023. So if that sounds cool, let's get right into it. Hi, my name is Andrei Jikh. Hope you're doing well. Come for the finance and stay for the 401k. So first, I'll tell you a really cool story and then I'll share with you the changes, because the most interesting thing about the 401k is not how it works, but the story of how it came to be. Because the man who created the idea behind the 401k says in modern times that he's created a monster. And it was this guy, Ted Benna, who at the age of 74 was working as a benefits consultant, and you could say he was the perfect fit for the job. He was Mr. Benna Fits. His name is Benna, worked in benefits. Anyway, since he was a Christian man, he had a moral dilemma because a lot of his wealthy clients only really wanted to get as many tax breaks as possible while doing and paying the least amount possible to their employees. And this really conflicted with his faith. So instead of leaving his job, he found a little loophole in the US tax code. And together with his boss, they approached the Reagan administration and, quote, the right people at the IRS to get their idea to work. And the original idea was to get one of their wealthy bank clients to replace a cash bonus plan with a tax-deferred profit sharing plan. This meant instead of just paying the employees their whole cash bonus up front to them, the employees would have to lock up their whole cash bonus inside of their retirement accounts, where they would only be able to access it at the end once they left their job. And this was a way for the bank to be competitive while still being able to say, we offer a cash bonus plan, while technically paying people off for as long as possible and still getting their tax break. Of course, the employees didn't like this plan. They liked the cash bonus up front. So to fix this and to keep everyone happy, they made it so that the employees could contribute any portion they wanted of their cash bonus inside of an account that allowed them to get a tax break. But this didn't really work for everyone because it was the highest paid employees that got the most valuable tax breaks. So to incentivize all of the other lower paid employees, which was roughly 2/3 or the majority of the company, they made it so that the bank would contribute or match a percentage of the employee's contribution inside of that account. And it was this combination of tax breaks plus employer contribution match as an incentive that made everyone happy. Now, ironically, Mr. Benna's original client did not like his strategy that he came up with because it had never been done before. But Mr. Benna's own company adopted the strategy and other corporations followed. And believe it or not, The government did not like the original idea of the 401k because they had massive losses from tax revenues, because it gave people the choice to pay their taxes up front or pay a portion of them later. And that's why they tried to repeal it several times. But as the 401k grew and became more and more popular, a monster was born because there was a conflict of interest. Because with the popularity of the 401k came new, crazy complex investments, complex mutual funds, backdoor partnerships, and even hidden fees. In fact, Mr. Benna himself criticizes the modern 401k because he said it helped open the door for Wall Street to make even more money and to gamble with people's retirements. But believe it or not, that's not even the worst part of the 401k's history. The worst part is that as the 401k became more popular as a retirement option, companies started to phase out what was called the defined benefit pension plan. And this was a plan that was funded by a company's own profits. And in the best of cases, the employees didn't even have to contribute anything to any account. As long as you stayed with the company long enough, they would eventually pay for your retirement at a portion of your salary, which is pretty incredible. To this day, very few companies and very few jobs are left that will offer the traditional pension plan, all thanks to the 401k and the monster that was born. Now, Mr. Ted Benna eventually quit his job, but don't feel too bad for him because he eventually took up acting and became Doc Brown from Back to the Future. I made that up. Unfortunately, this monster that was created is still the best thing we have for retirement, and it's important to understand how it's evolved throughout the years and what's gonna happen next year. So let me explain the changes, but first a quick word from today's sponsor. Now that the IRS will allow us to contribute more money inside of our 401k accounts, the most important question is, where are we gonna find the extra money to do that? And thanks to today's sponsor, I think I have the answer: Rocket Money. Rocket Money is one of my personal all-time favorite apps because it's an all-in-one finance platform that helps you to save more and spend less. The Personal Finance Manager allows you to manage your subscriptions, lower your bills, monitor your credit score, and build your savings all in one place. In fact, there are 3 specific features of this app that I think you absolutely need in your life right now. And number 1, Rocket Money safely and securely identifies recurring charges and helps you cancel unwanted subscriptions with just a tap. You never have to get on the phone to try to hunt down the cancel button. Rocket Money does all the hard work for you. And number 2, just by uploading a photo and tapping a button, Rocket Money will negotiate your bills for you, anywhere from internet service to cable and phone bills. And that's why the average Rocket Money member saves roughly $720 a year, or up to 20% off their bills. The app pays for itself. And number 3, Rocket Money gives you a clear picture of your net worth, including your cash, your debts, investments, crypto, retirement accounts, collectible items, and it shows you how it's trending over time. Rocket Money is trusted by 3.4 million members and counting, and you can try it for free and unlock more features with premium. All you have to do is click the link in the description below the video to start saving as early as possible. Thank you, Rocket Money, for sponsoring this portion of the video. Now let's get back to it. All right, so here are the new changes because the IRS just announced massive increases to the contribution limits. It's their biggest increase since the year 2007. So for the 401k, the limit will go up by $2,000. So to $22,500 in 2023, which is about a 9.8% increase. The same will be applied to 403b accounts, which is like the 401k, but for nonprofit and private companies. So if you're a government worker, you're a teacher, or you work for a nonprofit, you would have a 403b instead of a 401k. The same limit will be applied to most 457 accounts if that's something that you have, but the best part is that if your age is 50 and up, you can play catch up and your limit will be increased to $30,000 per year, which is huge. Now the contribution limit for the IRA, the individual retirement account, which exists outside of your job, has also gone up to $6,500 in 2023 and $7,500 for ages 50 and up, which is great. What's not great is this next part makes no sense to me. So if you're an IRS agent, please explain this to me because I'm confused. In 2022, the government did not want you to have a Roth IRA if you made $144,000 a year or more because you exceeded the income limit and you were considered too rich. Now in 2023, they're updating this number to $153,000 a year to account for inflation, which sounds like a good idea, except it doesn't make any sense because the income limit was never a problem because there's a loophole that still exists to this day called the backdoor Roth IRA. And what it does is it allows anyone who makes billions and billions of dollars to create a traditional IRA to contribute to it, then skip the income deduction and convert it to a Roth IRA, making the income limit completely pointless. So why would the IRS bother changing such a pointless number? I don't know. And better yet, a way more interesting question is, why is the contribution limit of the 401k so much higher than the IRA? Because as someone who does not have access to the 401k, my limit is $6,500 a year, but the 401k's limit is $22,500 a year. There should not be such a big difference. They should actually be the same. And there's actually two answers to this. The official answer is that's how the US tax code is written, that's the law, so deal with it. The unofficial answer, though, is a little more interesting. Please remember, this is only a theory, but it is a theory I'm like, this is pretty good. So the theory behind why the IRA contribution limit for both the Roth and the traditional is not as high as the 401k is because of money. We know, for example, that the 401k was originally created as a tax shelter for corporations. And we know that since 401ks are managed by their corporate providers, sometimes it is not always in the best interest of a company to shop around to find the best deals for their employees. Sometimes it makes no difference to the company whatsoever, and other times it might make sense for them to offer their own mutual funds that benefit and make them or their partners money. I was shocked, for example, when I was making an account for my parents, and I thought, this is gonna be super easy. I'm just gonna find one ETF stock like VTI or VOO or an index fund from Vanguard, one investment, super simple, and be done with it. But that's not what I found. All I found were insanely complicated mutual funds with really high management fees. And then I thought to myself, how would the average person know what all of these acronyms mean, and what does an expense ratio mean to the average person when they see 0.5% or 1%? Is that good or is that bad? How would the average person know unless they had experience, they were educated about this stuff, or they had something good to compare with? 0.5% or even 1% is insanely expensive by investment standards when you know that the index fund that is VTSAX from Vanguard is 0.04% expense ratio. But again, what does that really mean to the average person? Now, of course, some companies do offer good mutual funds, but not all of the companies do. And we know that the IRA gives you full flexibility and control over your investment options, where the 401k limits your investment options. So given the two choices, where would most people invest their money? Probably the one that gave them the most options. And there's some truth to the fact that there's no real money lobbying for the IRA to increase the contribution limit, because no one really represents the IRA like they do the 401k, which has wealthy and powerful donors that have a direct financial incentive to keep the limits the way that they are. Now, at the end of the day, luckily, there's a tax loophole for everyone no matter what, but that's only if you can find it. For now, it's just a question that I've always thought about, and I'm not saying this theory helps explain all of it. All I'm saying is, if I disappear, just know it was not a magic trick. Doc Brown took me back to 1955. Just kidding. As always, have a wonderful rest of your day. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to grab up to $250 worth of free Bitcoin right here. Put it offline. Don't forget to grab your free stocks. Links are down below, and then go track them automatically with a spreadsheet linked down below in my Patreon. Love you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you back here on Monday, Friday, sometimes a Wednesday, and of course, I would love to hear your thoughts about what you think. As always, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.